rise, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Vice-Chancellor, fellow council members, staff of the university, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. To members of a university, a ceremony for the presentation of awards is an important and happy occasion. To all of you, I extend a very warm welcome. To graduates, I offer congratulations and best wishes. The university's mission commits it to achieving international excellence in education and research. It is also committed to work through partnerships for regional, national and global enrichment. In the area of teaching and learning, the university aims to provide an education to all students which will equip them intellectually to the best international standards. The university's goal is to develop graduates whose knowledge, skills, abilities and attitudes are highly valued and allows them to contribute to the workplace and the broader community and live rich lives of personal fulfilment. Whether you are here today to celebrate your first undergraduate degree, a postgraduate coursework degree, or the research higher degree of Doctor of Philosophy, you have acquired comprehensive and well-founded knowledge in the relevant discipline, appropriate professional knowledge and skills, the ability to think logically and laterally, critically and creatively, and to use these qualities effectively in decision-making and problem-solving. There are two critical tests of the quality of an education, and the one that you have received from this university is subject to those tests. One relates to your own satisfaction, and the other to employability and employer satisfaction with your efforts later on. As new graduates, you will have received the Graduate Careers Council of Australia's Graduate Destination Survey and the Course Experience Questionnaire. Responses to these two instruments by graduates from previous years demonstrates a very high level of satisfaction with their educational experience at the University of Newcastle, and I hope you will find the same. In addition, commencing salaries for Newcastle graduates continue to be higher than the national average, indicating that our graduates are highly competitive against those of other Australian universities. Employer satisfaction, as reported in the university's own employer survey, is very pleasing. The speed and nature of change in our society today is such that whatever qualification you have completed, you will need to be engaged in lifelong learning to be and remain successful and valued as a citizen and employee or manager. I'm confident that your skills during your study at this university will stimulate the continuous search for more knowledge and understanding. These in turn will equip you to make significant contributions to the local, to the national, and I'm sure in the case of some, in the international community. In the area of research performance, the university currently ranks 9th out of 39 public universities in Australia. It has an annual research income of about $25 million and a total annual expenditure on research projects, research scholarships and research infrastructure of about $35 million. This is an outstanding achievement on research, and it feeds into the teaching at this university. I take this opportunity to remind those receiving their testaments today that as graduates of the university, you automatically become members of the graduate body, the convocation. You thus join more than 50,000 other graduates worldwide and have an opportunity through elected representatives to become involved in the governance and the development of your university. I hope you participate in the future. I now call on the Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Commerce to present graduates from that faculty.
Chancellor, I present to you graduates of the degree of Bachelor of Business. Nathan Baker. Kevin Barber. Samuel Barnes. Emily Bernardos. Ian Bendel. Sandra Black. Nigel Booth. Lisa Boychuk. Sarah Brown. Judith Butler. Grant Buttonshaw. Brooke Cowan. Carlos Carneiro. Ting Chung. Stephen Cormack. Joanna Crisp. Kylie Crisp. Josephine Crosby. David Curry. Amy Curtis. Joanna Curtis. Jimmy Dow. Renee DeFitis. Donna Dennis. Amanda East. Andrew Eckford. Angela Eibner. Charles Ergal. Casey Eschbank. Nathan Farr. Sally Frith. Nicole Gardner. Rachel Gibson. Vanessa Gilroy. Lloyd Harrison. Luke Harrison. Elizabeth Hart. Kelly Hawkins. Megan Hurd. Danielle Hemsworth. Elisa Hitchens. Sean Hodgins. Jane Horn. Andrea Hughes. Kate Johnson. Matthew Johnston. Therese Jones. Byron Keating. Emma Keach. Michael Keane. Andrew Keevers. Rebecca Kempis. Andrew Killen. Amanda Kmetic. Stephen Kapundi. Angela Ladmore. Ian Lang. Kerry Lawrence. Junior Lean. Shook Lai. Andrew Lindsay. Vernon Lum. Claire Liddy Meany. Scott Lyons. David McFarlane. Alison McKenzie. Andrew Mann. Lisa March. Sandra Martin. Peter Mather. Lauren McCoy. Rebecca McHugh. Joshua McInnes. Brett McFan. Rochelle Mayer. Carrie Mifsud. Andrew Milgate. Mariana Akanovich. Amy Patrick. Jane Ramplin. Sasha Raymond. Nicole Riddick. Darren Riley. Natalie Ritter. Rebecca Rooney. Christian Rutten. Anita Sadlier. Nina Sainsbury. Helen Saperis. Janine Shumley. Adam Samshuddin. Angela Shepherd. Debbie Shotton. Anna Sue. Anne-Marie Shezik. Olivia Stevens. Robert Stevens. Devendran Thanundran. Samuel Toole. Kathy Solakis. Dominic Viola. Melissa Vuletic. Melanie Walker. Marissa Wallace. Beth Weir. Rebecca Wicks. Belinda Williams. Todd Williams. Yat Wong. Andrew Wood. Wendy Wu. Michael Yap. Chancellor, I present to you a graduate for the award of the combined degrees of Bachelor of Business and Bachelor of Commerce. The graduate has studied for both awards simultaneously. Jessica Searles. Chancellor, I present to you graduates for the award of the combined degrees of Bachelor of Business and Bachelor of Economics. The graduates have studied for both these awards simultaneously. Brett Donaghy. Christopher Neal. Grant Turner. Chancellor, I present to you graduates of the degree of Bachelor of Business with honours, Class 2, Division 2, Kevin Silcock. Nathan Williams. Chancellor, I present to you graduates of the degree of Bachelor of Business with honours, Class 2, Division 1, Gillian Blackburn. Paul Doolan. Stephanie Duncan. Carey Lee. Miss Laura Shelley. Lee Thistlethwaite. Chancellor, I present to you a graduate of the degree of Bachelor of Business with Honours Class 1, Jamie Carlson. Chancellor, I present to you graduates of the degree of Bachelor of Commerce, Rochelle Aitken. Kevin Andrus. Stephen Banfield. Mia Louise Barry. Leanne Bennett. Simon Battaglia. Christopher Bishop. Jenny Blanche. Gavin Bottrell. Nicholas Bowles. Anna Marie Brown. Christy Brown. Louise Brown. Brian Bull. Michael Burke. Leonie Burns. Michael Byrne. Ivan Chua. Christopher Collett. Jeannie Copland. Natalie Cox. Melanie Cunningham. Catherine Darfo. Michelle Drury. Lisa Egan. Patrice Farmer. Tara Fleming. Glenn Foster. Luke Grabda. Pooja Gupta. Frank Hall. Nicole Hannington. Heather Hanna. David Hartley. Adrian Howard. Amy Hyde. Gwyneth Jenkins. Kate Jensen. Kim Johnson. Kimberly Jones. Leon Jones. Nathan Kelly. Adam Lancy. Miang Si Lau. Lindsay Lawrence. Emma Lee. Tony Marjarovsky. Brendan Malone. Melissa Malone. Monica March. Ian McCallum. Troy McCrowan. Paula McGregor. Kerry Milford. Nicole Milgate. Olivia Momsen. Samantha Moon. Tracy Moore. Anthony Murphy. Nam Nguyen. Craig Newell. Karen Olsen. Felicity Optrukchek. Martin Perry. Gary Pickwell. Matthew Pietraszek. Louise Peake. Rodney Pryor. Tracy Robson. Heath Rogers. Bradley Russo. Justin Ryan. Rosemary Solway. Emma Shaw. Gretchen Shipman. Jeffrey Smith. Shane Smith. Robert Stone. Tanya Swadling. Dean Taylor. Tanya Tran. Dean Tuckerman. Danielle Tynan. Monique Vavshonik. Gregory Webb. Adam West. Paul Wolfe. Hui Yap. Chancellor, I present to you graduates for the award of the combined degrees of Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Arts. The graduates have studied for both of these awards simultaneously. Robin Bennett. Danielle Hawkins. Julie Hunt. Chancellor, I present to you a graduate for the award of the combined degrees of Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Music. The graduate has also studied for these awards simultaneously, Anna Richmond. Chancellor, I present to you a graduate of the degree of Bachelor of Commerce with honours, Class 1, Irina Ivanovic. Chancellor, a university medal may be awarded to a candidate who has displayed first-class honours and displayed outstanding academic ability. In assessing ability, the graduate's record throughout the whole degree course is taken into account. In addition to achieving consistently high grades, the graduate must have completed at least half of the degree requirements at this university. Chancellor, I present to you two graduates of the degree of Bachelor of Commerce with Honours, Class 1 and the University Medal, Ben Barry. And Paul Horodecki. Chancellor, I present to you a graduate of the degree of Bachelor of Finance, Hun Bong. Chancellor, I present to you a candidate who has satisfied the requirements for the award of the Graduate Certificate in Human Resource Management and Industrial Relations, Savane Rattanbong. Chancellor, I present to you a candidate who has satisfied the requirements for the award of the Graduate Certificate in Marketing, Timothy Law Carr Kitt. Chancellor, I present to you a graduate of the degree of Master of Social Change and Development, Annette Brennan. Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of graduates from the Faculty of Economics and Commerce.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have a musical interlude. Adam Manning, a student of percussion in his second year of the Bachelor of Music course, will be playing his own composition entitled Fly.
Thank you very much, Adam. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to invite Mr. Ross Gittins, Economics Editor of the Sydney Morning Herald, to deliver the occasional address. In 1969, Mr. Gittins completed a Bachelor of Commerce degree at this university. During his degree studies, Mr. Gittins worked part-time for 2 years with a firm of chartered accountants in Newcastle. He was subsequently offered an auditor position with the chartered accounting firm Touche, Ross and Companies. In the 1970s, Mr. Gittins chose to take a break from accountancy. He completed the first year of a 3-year degree course in journalism at the University of Technology, Sydney. Mr. Gittins discovered his ability to write and became co-editor of the student newspaper. Upon completion of the journalism program, he was successful in gaining a cadetship at the Sydney Morning Herald. Mr. Gittins is also an economic columnist for The Age, Melbourne, and in 1993 won the Citibank Pan Asia Award for Excellence in Finance Journalism. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ross Gittins.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of Council, academic staff, mums and dads, and last, the graduates. I must start by congratulating you on the completion of your degree. It may be only a piece of paper, but earning it was hard work, and there aren't too many certificates that are more valuable. In truth, it's a great day in anyone's life to join the ranks of the university graduates. Some of you, of course, are joining the ranks of the postgraduates, which I imagine is an even bigger kick. Actually, it's quite a kick for me to be invited back to my hometown and alma mater to be the old fogey on the other side of the stage from where I was 30 years ago. Actually, these surroundings are a lot more salubrious than what we had for our graduation. My graduation, I think we were in the City Hall in town. This is a lot better, I can tell you. What I'd like to talk to you about is my experience since I was sitting where you're sitting. In particular, some of the conclusions I've come to about the value of my commerce degree. Now, these may prove of some interest to you, but you'll be the judge. One conclusion I came to fairly early is that the skills required to succeed at uni are different from the skills you need to succeed in a job. I soon realised that though I was quite good at passing accounting exams, I wasn't much of an accountant. This is probably less true today, but in my day it was possible for people who were very bright, not me, but people who were very bright, to skid through a degree without doing much work at all. But being exceptionally bright isn't sufficient to achieve success in a career. In the real world of jobs, there's no substitute for hard work. I noticed that some of the people whose exceeding brightness allowed them to acquire the habit of laziness while at uni didn't do all that well in the world of work. So now that you've got your degree, don't think the work's over, the hard work's over, it's actually just starting. You might not be quite as intellectually inclined in the real world, but it still involves a fair bit of elbow grease. So now you've got your degree, you have to get your head down and your bum up. And if you find you're not getting very far, the answer isn't necessarily to rush back to uni and load up with another degree or diploma, much as the proprietors of this now semi-commercial institution would like you to. Sorry. If you do return for further education, I did it twice, The Vice-Chancellor only managed to find out about one of them. If you do return for further education, don't be in too much of a hurry. The more experience you've had of the real world, the more benefit you're likely to derive from further study, mainly because you'll have a better idea of what you want to learn and why you want to learn it. A related conclusion, one that took me a lot longer to realise, is that a lot of the stuff the staff of this institution tried to teach me turned out to be a lot more relevant and useful in the working world than I ever imagined when I was here. I thought it was all so hopelessly theoretical, so unreal, so far removed from the real world of work. But I was wrong. Why was I wrong? Partly because as a teenager, I'd had so little experience of the real world that I was utterly unqualified to say what was or wasn't relevant to the jobs I might have in the future. That's the thing about undergraduates. You're not actually in a position to make an educated judgment about what's relevant and what's not, because you don't know all that, you haven't had all that much experience of what's out there. But the other reason I was wrong was because I failed to appreciate the importance of theory in the work of real-world, pragmatic practitioners. The importance of theory to very practical people out there earning a living. Theory is pretty much all you get from universities. It's all they've got to give, and it's all they should give. The practitioners of any profession need a theoretical framework on which to base their practical endeavours. Without theory, they exist in a world of confusion, befuddlement, even superstition. They need theory to get a handle on the world, to identify patterns of cause and effect amid the seeming chaos of the world around them. So we go to university to equip ourselves with theory, with a compass, if you like, before we step out to find our way through the wilderness that's called the real world. I didn't know that when I was sitting where you're sitting. Frankly, I don't think my lecturers bothered to tell me, but I know it now. Another conclusion I came to about what the lecturers had tried to teach me at uni was that if you don't use it, you lose it. In my commerce degree, there was a lot of accounting, plus a reasonable amount of economics. For the first 4 years, when I was working for a chartered accountant, I made no use of the economics and I lost it. But when I realised I wasn't much of an accountant, I switched to being a journalist. Trouble is, I wasn't in journalism long before the boss decided I should be an economic journalist. What he actually said to me was, "You're an accountant, aren't you? Well, accountants, economists, they're pretty much the same, aren't they? You can do economics." Okay, boss. I've spent the past 26 years pretending to be an economist. It was back then when I started out on that 26 years of pretense that I started regretting A, not having taken more interest in the economics they tried to force down my throat, and B, having lost what little I'd learnt. But let me add some further conclusions to that. I found that though you lose what you don't use, you are left with the knowledge of what you don't know. And don't laugh, because that's actually quite valuable. It puts you well ahead of people who don't know what they don't know. And let me tell you, the world's full of them. Actually, you're left with a kind of sixth sense about things you shouldn't risk saying, conclusions you shouldn't draw, even though you can't remember why you shouldn't. That's what you're left with from a degree, even when you've forgotten a lot of what they tried to teach you. And of course, you're left with a knowledge of where to go to find out what you don't know. And that's very useful too. Then, when you go back to studying it again, having finally acquired the need to use it, it all comes back to you pretty easily. But now I must say something that's said in every graduation day speech ever given, because it's so obviously true. Even if you eventually forget everything you've been taught, that won't matter too much, provided you've acquired the one big thing a university education is supposed to leave you with. And that's the ability to think critically, clearly, and logically. If this institution has taught you to be a clear and critical thinker, you'll have got your money's worth. You've got to think critically and clearly about the propositions people serve up to you and about the solutions to problems. Another thing my experience shows is that when you start out after you get your degree, where you start out after you get your degree isn't necessarily where you end up. I went from the age of 15 at Newcastle Boys High of late memory, from the age of 15 to the age of 26 with one burning ambition: to be an accountant. Not much of an ambition, but I had it. And I had it pretty strong. But after 4 years in the job, I chucked it up and dropped a lot of money to become an aged cadet journalist on the Herald. And though my example is extreme, it fits with the fact, now this I'm not supposed to say to you. The Dean told me he didn't want me to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It fits with the fact that almost all accounting graduates eventually drift out of accounting jobs. So if you get yourself a job in accounting and you discover you don't like it very much, don't worry too much, because most of the people before you didn't like it very much, and they organised a move out to something else as quick as they could. I've been checking around some of the people that I went through university with doing accounting. They're not accountants today. They're somewhere in business, but they're not accountants. They're not actually doing accounting. Machines do accounting these days. So I conclude from that a BCom or a B bus is really just a general admission pass to the world of business. It'll get you in there. Where you go after that, who can say? That's mainly up to you and your efforts. So it's a pretty safe bet that you'll be facing choices about changing jobs and occupation before your career is very far advanced. Which brings me to my final conclusion. Based on my experience, try not to take a job or stay in a job just for the money. Believe it or not, money isn't everything. You're going to be spending 40 to 60 hours a week for the next 35 to 40 years working. That's what you're going to be doing. It's just not worth it to spend such a huge chunk of your life doing something you hate just for the money. It's just not worth it. And don't assume that the only choice you face is between jobs that are well paid but deadly and jobs that are interesting but badly paid. It doesn't have to be quite as stark as that. The way to think of it is that if you're a square peg, you've got to keep hunting around until you find a square hole to fit into. That's what I did. I was a square peg in accounting. I didn't fit. But I stumbled around and finally stumbled into a job that I liked, which was journalism. The trick is to find out what you're good at and what you like doing and try to get into a virtuous circle. You're good at it because you like it, and you like it because you're good at it. That's what you should be searching for, the virtuous circle. You find the job that you like because you're good at it, and because you're good at it, you like it, and it all goes round and round and gets better and better. If you can get yourself into such a self-reinforcing circle, two things should follow. You get a lot of satisfaction from your job, and because you do it well, you discover that someone's prepared to pay you at least tolerably well to do it. But that's more than enough conclusions from me to be going on with. Congratulations for making it this far, and good luck for the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gittins, for that excellent speech. I'm sure that you have people in search of the virtuous circle almost immediately. I now have great pleasure in inviting Ms. Sally Frith to speak on behalf of the graduates.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of the Council, staff of the University, family and friends of graduates, and graduates. I'm honoured to have the opportunity to speak on behalf of the students graduating today. On receiving the phone call from the university offering me this, I was faced with the challenge of being able to capture the experiences of several hundred unique students, and I hope that I can convey successfully those things that we have all gone through, some, however, more than others. Yet I feel lucky to be able to speak on behalf of my friends, some of who I know will be thinking that they were luckier not to have the call at all. So what does one say at a ceremony like this? Undeterred, I immediately hit the web and typed graduation ceremony speeches. I found 48 perfectly matched documents in 0.56 seconds. Diligently, I worked through these and in the end set them aside and began to recall my own experiences as a student. My mind reverts to the mid-1990s and thoughts of anxiety of how it would all go. Like many of you, I was fresh out of high school, and at that stage, one was a big fish in a small pond. The notion of entering an ocean meant that the possibility of drowning was even greater. However, the assistance we received in the early years was there, and like you, we soon found, or at least stumbled, across our way. First year was the toughest, and I, like many of you, may not have started in our degree. However, the point is, we finished it. The early years for us represented, I think, the unconscious incompetent. We didn't know what we didn't know. I believe that we have, however, progressed from the unconscious incompetent to the conscious competent. Well, at least that's what our faculty and examiners seem to think, or else we wouldn't be here. But we must thank our professors, our lecturers, our tutors, who gave their time generously and relentlessly. Thank them for inspiring confidence and providing guidance when we needed it. To the general staff, including library, IT and RMR who supported in providing the vital keys to our success. To our parents, families and friends who many times covered for us, pored over essays and manuscripts, supplied endless cups of coffee and kind words when we needed them. And graduates, I think that we should thank each other, for we helped each other through tasks and obstacles as they presented themselves, helped each other when we couldn't see the purpose of it all, and helped each other understand that the glass was indeed half full, not half empty. So what is an university education for us? Is it building the knowledge base? Is it learning and perfecting the skills and the development of certain attitudes that relate to inquiry, determination and persistence? And is it developing adequate responses to the challenges at hand? It is all of these and more. I believe that I speak for many when I suggest that it also includes obtaining an inquiring mind, a seeking after the truth as far as we can determine it. It also includes ethical conduct and a stewardship attitude towards the natural and cultural things that we have been given the privilege of caring for over a period of time. These attitudes, values, skills and knowledge don't come by chance alone. They reflect the total set of experiences that we've had during the course of our lifetime and also more recently the time that we've spent here at university. Though not always did they come easy, for we had to do our bit, and this certainly entailed late nights, early mornings, weekends forgone, and the associated pressures of exams and accessible tasks. I don't think any of us would assert that we only worked, for we had fun along the way. We went on many trips, sporting facilities, the forum, and no doubt many of us struck out a few times at the beach parties or bar on the hill. Whether it was late nights and early mornings or late nights and late mornings, I think that Max Kaufman captured it perfectly when he said, "The amount of sleep required by the average person is always about 5 minutes more." In many respects, we've just finished one adventure and we're embarking on another. And the statistics are on our side. Most of us will get work in the areas we want. The challenge for us now is making the transition from one lifestyle to another as our career paths begin to develop. It is important that we have a clear picture of what we want, when we want it, and a vision of how we will get it. To be who we want to be, we continually have to strive, have to sacrifice, but firstly, we have to know what it is that we are working hard for. In a sense, the challenge for us is to invent our future in the context of determining the future of our native countries, indeed the world. The ability to think and the attitudes that we develop will be very much required as challenges present themselves. So what are our goals? Well, it depends. Of course, we look forward to meaningful careers where we feel that we have made some difference, careers where we seek rewards for our individual and team efforts. It would be only the shallowest of minds that perceive these rewards as being purely monetary. And there are other satisfactions to be obtained, including the satisfaction of a job well done, a task completed in an even smarter, more efficient manner, and perhaps recognition and acknowledgement by our peers and wider community. I'd like to conclude on goals because all of us recognise that if we are goalless, if we don't have a purpose, we are in a very real danger of drifting. Now, I guess I speak for myself because sometimes I feel that it's necessary to drift, sometimes essential. But endless drifting, to my mind, would be somewhat of a waste. We have invested time, money, and energy. We have practiced, we've prepared, and I think that we should have confidence in our futures. Fellow graduates, it's ahead of us, and we must do something with it. Thank you.
I would like to thank Sally Frith for her speech and now declare this ceremony concluded. May I invite all present to join us for a cold drink in the marquee adjoining the Great Hall. The University Union also invites you to make your way afterwards to the Shortland Union building where Devonshire tea will be served. You will also be able to order photographs, have your testamers framed and view a range of university memorabilia for sale. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the commercial and I look forward to seeing you outside.